Right now, we want to bring you to the Middlesex County DA giving an update on a 2013 cold case. Let's listen in.
Healing. We are here today really to mark an important milestone in the work of the cold case unit, which I launched in this office in 2019. Thanks to the great work of that team, we're really changing the narrative of what defines a cold case, and at the same time sending a very strong message to victims and perpetrators of sexual violence here in Middlesex County. The mere passage of time does absolutely nothing to affect our resolve to pursue justice in these cases. We know the terrible personal violation and the continuing trauma that can be experienced by survivors of sexual assault. We want to give hope to those whose cases have not been resolved. We do not give up on those cases. We are committed to using every tool that is available to us, and those tools change almost daily in terms of new advances in technology. And also creative, diligent investigative work by our law enforcement partners to use to bring these cases to resolution. This afternoon in Concord District Court, an individual named Christopher Aldridge, age 28, of Lunenburg, is being arraigned on the charge of aggravated rape. That incident relates back to an event at the South Acton train station on June 18th of 2013, almost 10 years ago. A then 22-year-old young woman was waiting at the train station. She was initially using her cell phone, making a call, when she noticed a young white man who was not known to her come towards the platform, she was assuming that he was also waiting for the train. When she finished her call, he approached her. He had a fixed blade knife. He threatened to hurt her with that knife, and he then raped her. When he had completed that act, he took her cell phone, threw it away, and fled on foot. There were no surveillance cameras there back in 2013. She was able to rummage through the area and ultimately located her cell phone, placed a 911 call. Police came almost immediately, but he had long since fled the area. She was transported to a local hospital. She underwent a sexual assault interview and investigation. A rape kit was collected. And after having been submitted to the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory, a good DNA profile was developed from that kit. However, over the next 8+ years, despite the fact that that profile was repeatedly submitted to databases, no match was made to the perpetrator. In 2021, as part of an ongoing investigation, Middlesex prosecutors and police authorities partnered with Parabon Nanolabs to conduct forensic genetic genealogy. This technology can take a DNA profile and identify distant relatives from that source. It can tell you who and what that relationship is. It then allows you to essentially begin to build a family tree, working backwards towards the potential source, developing persons of interest who might have been the source of that DNA profile. Through these efforts, Christopher Aldridge was developed as such a person of interest. Then in November of 2022, Mr. Aldridge was involved in a one-car collision in the city of Acton, in the town of Acton. Acton police officers responded, conducted an on-scene investigation, and then were able to lawfully seize a number of items obtained both from Mr. Aldridge's car and during his treatment. From those items, they were able to develop a DNA profile of Mr. Aldridge. Those it developed from various items all matched each other, and then they were matched to the profile that had been developed from that sexual assault kit. The match that was made there determined that the frequency of occurrence of that match in the population is less than 1 in 3 sextillion individuals. That is a 3 with 21 zeros. That match is not sufficient alone to charge someone. It then requires investigative work, and that is the kind of really creative investigative work, both by the Acton Police Department as well as detectives from the MBTA. And as a result, late last week, a warrant was sought for Mr. Aldridge on the charge of aggravated rape. So he is being arraigned as we speak. So we'll have conditions for you from that arraignment later on today. But the message that we want to make clear is what I began with, which is that we do not abandon these cases. The arsenal of tools that we have continues to grow, as well as what has always been the case, the really steadfast dedication of our law enforcement partners. So for those individuals who might have been the victim of a sexual assault and your case has not been resolved, we invite you to reach out to us. We want you to know that we are still working on those cases. And to those who have committed offenses in this jurisdiction, know that we have not given up on those cases. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Kogan now to speak for a moment, and then we'll turn it over to Ms. Wojciechowicz. Chief.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you. I'm here today just to give recognition to the detectives from the Acton Police Department, along with our partners at the MBTA, as well as members of the DA's office, for their diligent work on this case. It took almost 10 years to get to where we are today, but I'm certainly thankful for the work that everyone did in order to get this this arrest made. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My name is Isa Walder-Georges. I'm the Executive Director at the Center for Hope and Healing. We just want to commend District Attorney Ryan, Acton Police, MBTA, and everyone who had a part in what's happening today. And we want to say that this is hopeful. At the Center for Hope and Healing, we want justice for survivors and we want hope for survivors. We go to emergency room with rape survivors in the middle of the night, and inevitably they ask one question. If I do this kit, will someone care? Will someone ever look at this kit? Will someone test the evidence? Will someone try and find this person? After today, we are fortunate to be able to say yes, especially in Middlesex, where we work, where we serve. We can say today with more certainty than we could yesterday, yes, someone will care. Even 10 years later, someone will care and someone will look. We want to say to survivors, we're here for you. We run a 24-hour hotline. Our number is 1-800-542-5212. Call us if you are a survivor, if you have questions, just like the District Attorney's Office, we are here for you. And we are grateful and thankful to this team that today is a great day to further justice for sexual assault survivors. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a few questions if people have them.
Thank you for your time. What does this day mean to you in some? I mean, it's been 10 years. That's a really long time for a survivor to wonder if they're ever going to get justice. What does this mean?
Well, that is our first thought, obviously. We know the deeply invasive nature of a sexual assault crime, as well as the continuing trauma that victims can suffer. And as the only woman serving as a district attorney, I feel a very deep responsibility to stand with anyone who's been the victim of a sexual assault. And also to let people know that although it may seem that time has passed and, as you just heard, no one is looking or no one cares, that is not the case. That we are always reevaluating these cases. We are always educating our investigators and our prosecutors about new techniques, and then thinking about, here's a new technique, does it work on one of these cases that we have? And using that to further the investigation. So it may take time, but we are not abandoning these cases.
Could you talk, I know you talked a little bit about the DNA and then there was subsequent investigation. Can you tell us a little bit more at all about sort of what other things you sort of developed to identify beyond the DNA that this was the person who was shot?
So in a very simplified way, when you use the forensic genealogy, it helps you to develop a pool of persons of interest. And then that isn't magic. It doesn't tell you who your perpetrator is. You then have to use very good creative police work to figure out, of the maybe 20 or 30 people that are potentials, some of them may be too old, some of them may be too young, some of them may be deceased, some of them may have never been in the community where the offense took place. So you have to work your way through those folks, kind of literally, as I said, developing a family tree. and keeping in mind these are relatives or people connected to the person who gave that DNA profile that we found in the sexual assault kit. So you're looking to develop things. Is a person the right age? Do they match some of the description? Do they have reason to be in the community where the offense took place at that time? And can you develop that and build your case in that way? And then ultimately, you are looking to get a DNA sample from that individual to see, as we did here, if you can make that kind of a match.
And I don't know, so did you were able to get a DNA sample from the suspect?
We got DNA from the crash, yeah. Yeah, a number of samples. All of those were tested. They matched to each other as coming from Mr. Aldridge, and then a match was made to the evidence taken from the sexual assault kit.
I sort of came a little late. I don't have you had a chance to tell the victim that someone has been arrested, and what, if you know, to share with us what her reaction has been.
So we have had contact over time with the then 22-year-old woman as time has passed in this case. We were able to notify her last week once we received information that they had made that 1 in 3 sextillion match. And also, this is the beginning of a process. You know, the defendant is being arraigned today. It's a long way to trial, and to be able to talk with her about all of that. And I would say, obviously, there's some relief, some gratitude for the work of the investigators in getting to that point. And, you know, if you think about the kind of fear and trauma inflicted by these offenses, and then not knowing who it is that's responsible for it, or where that person is, or where you might, again, have contact with that person. That's a piece of what we are looking to put to rest when we seek resolution in these cases.